আহিছে
আৱাজ শুনিছানে ভালদৰে?
শুনিছো
ঠিক আছে।
I request all the participants to kindly mute yourself.
Sir, আহিছে নাই জানো?
আহিলো বাইদেউ।
আহিছে মেম।
হেল্ল'।
আচ্ছা স্টার্ট কৰিব পাৰে আপোনালোকে।
সুইন্দৰ দি অহা নাই নেকি এতিয়ালৈকে?
মই আহিলো। সুইন্দৰ আহিলা?
মেম আহিলো। ঠিক আছে।
সুইন্দৰ আহিলা?
মেম আহিলো।
হেল্ল'।
মেম। মেম। ভিডিঅ'টো অহা নাই মেম।
সুইন্দৰ আহিলে?
আহিলে মেম আহিলো মই।
Hello.
Hello ma'am. Can I start now?
আহিলা?
Okay. Hello everyone. A warm good morning to the respected dignitaries and all the participants present here in our today's session. I, Preetiparna Barua, Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, on behalf of Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya, warm-heartedly welcomes you to this esteemed event organized by Department of Sociology. I am very glad to get the opportunity to be the part of this webinar, and I hope that with the help of this webinar, we will be enlightened to a great extent. Now, without much delay, I would like to request our head of the department, Dr. Nibhabara ma'am, to kindly deliver her welcome address. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself. Ma'am, mute হৈ আছে, unmute কৰক। Hello, ma'am.
Hello, শুনিছা?
শুনিছো, ma'am. ক'ব পাৰে,
Hello,
ma'am.
শুনিছা?
শুনিছো।
শুনিছা?
শুনিছো, ma'am.
আচ্ছা। ষ্টাৰ্ট কৰো?
ma'am.
Hello.
ma'am, start কৰিব
Start
পাৰে।
কৰো? Thank you, Preetiparna. Good morning to all of you. On the behalf of the Department of Sociology, Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya, I extend my warm welcome to the Honorable Resource Person, Dr. Vikas Deka, respected
Ma'am, mute হৈ গৈছে। Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, mute হৈ গৈছে, unmute কৰি দিব পাৰে। Ma'am, শুনিছে ma'am? I think there is some technical problem over there. মেমে জয়েন কৰিব পৰা নাই চাগে।
Hello.
মেম
এতিয়া মাত আহিছে? মাতটো আহিছে নে?
ভইচ আহিছে মেম।
Voice আহিছে? আহিছে, মই start. As we all know that the outbreak of COVID-19 has created a global health crisis that has a deep impact on the way we perceive our world and everyday life. Mass media platform has played a crucial role in providing information regarding the COVID-19. Media is an important source of health information and a platform for discussing personal experience, opinion, and concerns regarding health, illness, and treatment. During lockdown, people are using social media platforms to gain information about COVID-19. It is noted that publishing fake news and inaccurate information on social media networks about the spread of disease will have a negative impact on people's mental health and psychological well-being. People are unable to discern which information on social media is true and which is false, thus causing more panic and rumors about the true nature of the COVID-19. Once again, I welcome Dr. Vikas Deka sir. I'm happy for accepting my request to participate this webinar as a resource person, and I hope your prolific and valuable speech help us in understanding the present crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful welcome address. There is an announcement that due to some unavoidable circumstances, our principal, Dr. Arun Chandra Sharma sir, will not be able to present here today. So I request our vice principal, Dr. Deepak Goswami sir, to kindly inaugurate the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, P.T. Pauma. Good morning. Good morning, respected speaker of today's webinar, head of the Department of Sociology, and other faculty members, my colleagues, and participants. It is an honor and proud privilege for the fraternity of Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya to organize such an event on a very interesting topic, COVID-19, impact and role of mass media during pandemic. It is true that COVID-19 outbreak has left a deep impact on our daily routine, and we have become more dependent on mass media for our day-to-day activities. As we know, media is the mirror of society as it reflects the society. Media nowadays around the world has seen a huge increase. It uses social media, electronic media, etc. has seen a huge leap in its progress. However, the pressing problem with modern day mass media is also responsible for spread of misinformation. So when we talk of impact of mass media, necessarily we have seen positive and negative impact on our life. During this pandemic situation, through media, At one point, people got the news and update much faster than the COVID outbreak. On the other, with a limited activity out of home, people have become more associated with mass media than ever. I hope that this webinar will give some new dimension on our thought and would be a good platform to understand and analyze the impact of mass media on us during this pandemic. Along with these few words, I welcome again our respected speaker, Dr. Vikas Deka from the Department of Sociology, Digboi University. Thanks to the Sociology Department of Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya and all the participants to this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your delightful inaugural speech. Before I continue, I would like to inform all the participants that at the end of the presentation, there will be a question and answer round. And if there is any query during the presentation, you can pop it up on the chat box. Thank you. Now I request Surinder Kaur Virdi ma'am to kindly introduce our resource person. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Pritiparna ma'am. Good morning to one and all present here. I am Ms. Surinder Kaur Virdi, Assistant Professor of Sociology Department, Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya. On the behalf of organizing committee, would like to take the opportunity to introduce our resource person of this webinar, Dr. Vikas Deka sir. Dr. Vikas Deka sir is working as an associate professor of the Department of Sociology, Digboi University, with great zeal and passion to share his knowledge with everyone. His areas of interest are social theory, rural sociology, research methodology, tribe and ethnicity, and social movement. He is also teaching sports sociology in the Center of Physical Education and Engineering and Society in Digboi University Institute of Engineering Technology. He has completed 2 research projects. The first one is UGC minor project on a comparative study of the elderly problems in India and Bangladesh, which was completed in 2012. And the second project is ICSSR sponsored minor research project on a sociological study on the elderly living in the old age homes of Assam, which was completed in 2019. Dr. Vikas Deka sir's papers are also published in various journals like Community Life of the Agent in Flood Affected Area. It was published in International Journal of Research and Development in the year 2012, and Empowerment of Women through Panchayati Raj was published in International Research Journal of Human Rights, Volume 2 in 2012. Economic Problems of the Aged in Rural Society was published in the journal The Northeastern Research Bulletin in 2009, and many more. His papers are also published in various edited books. He has also participated in various workshops and national and international seminars, and has also acted as resource person in several workshops and national seminars. We are very privileged to have you here, sir, today. Now, I would like to hand over the platform to Dr. Vikas Deka, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very good morning to all of you. At the very outset, I would like to offer my sincere gratitude to Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya organizing committee of this webinar, and also the principal and the vice principal of the college for giving me a platform to or giving me a space to share some of my thoughts on the area. Although I am not an expert in this area, but as a student of sociology, I can look at the phenomena critically. So the topic is definitely interesting, but again, to look at the phenomena critically, to look at the situation critically, we need some in-depth study, we need some empirical investigation, but therefore it is always very difficult to give a lecture or give a talk on as challenging topic like this because without having empirical study on the area, as a student of sociology, it is always difficult to give some, or it is always difficult to evaluate the impact and the role of media in the COVID-19 pandemic situation, because it has created a lot of imbalances in the society. The whole structure is subjected to change. A lot of problems have been emerged in all the aspects of the social life. So the media has its influence and its impact on the on all the aspects, and that's why I think this definitely challenging, because we need some in-depth study, we need some empirical studies to give a critical look onto these matters. Otherwise, it is very difficult to evaluate the role and impact of mass media in this pandemic situation. So what I would like to say at the very beginning is that as a student of sociology, or as an individual who is engaged in some kind of social research investigation, they must be guided by some kind of critical thinking. They must be guided. They are not going to accept some knowledge or information because it is something that has been produced by a group of people or by dominant sections of the society. You are not going to accept the knowledge because it is there. What I'm trying to say is that today we are saturated with a lot of information. The bloggers, they're producing something, the YouTubers, they're producing something, the media institution, the media organizations, they're producing something. Why they're producing those knowledge, why they're producing a particular kind of content, behind everything, certain forces and factors are there. So if we have to look social media from sociological perspective, or the impact and the role and impact of mass media from sociological perspective, then definitely we have to go in depth, and we have to start with how the founding fathers of sociology and in the whole sociological discourse, they are trying to look at the role of the media in society and culture, the role of media in influencing the individuals, the group, the society, and the culture as a whole. So we need to develop a kind of critical thinking. So in my presentation, what I will do, I will not focus more on how the mass media. I'm not going to focus on the role of mass media and its impact on the society in general. What I will do, I will, at the first part of my presentation, I will focus on the theoretical backgrounds, the theoretical background that the social scientists have put forward, and how they are critically looking at the media as an organization, the media as an organization or institution, how they are critically looking the very content of the media, and how that content has influenced the audiences. Those theoretical things I will give focus at my presentation at the beginning. Then I will move to the role and impact. But at the very beginning, I would like to confess that to deal with the role and impact of mass media during COVID pandemic is a very challenging task, because I'm not getting opportunity to have some kind of empirical investigation, and only on the basis of empirical investigations only we can put some critical arguments on the area. So that has my limitation. Only on the basis of theoretical things, I'm going to focus on the subject that has been given to me. So at the very beginning, what I will try to say, what we mean by the mass media. So as we know, the mass media refers to a diverse area of media technologies that reach a large audience via mass communication. The technologies which this communication takes place includes a variety of outlets. As you know, this is about broadcast media, transmit information technically, such as films, radio, recorded music, or television. Then digital media comprises both internet and mobile mass communication. Then internet media comprises services as email, social media sites, websites, and internet-based radio television. In this way, they can use the easy accessibility and outreach capabilities the internet affords, as thereby easily broadcast information throughout many different regions of the world simultaneously and cost efficiently. So print media transmit information via physical objects such as books, comics, magazines, newspapers, or pamphlets. Even event organizing and public speaking can also be considered as forms of mass media. So in dealing with mass media, at the very beginning, I would like to make one point clear here is that one must be very clear about the difference between mass media and the social media. And this point has its relevance with the whole discussion, the theoretical discussions that I'm going to place in the presentation. The major difference is that the mass media puts the audience in a very passive position. So, social media puts the audience at the center. Mass media puts the audience in the very passive position. Means what? Some a group of people or the media organization, the media institution, they are producing knowledge, and those informations and knowledge has been disseminated to the audience. So audience always have a very passive position in the mass media. But when we are talking about social media, what we will find, social media puts the audience at the center, because people are both the audience and the content creator. If you are in the social media, then what you are doing, you are working both as an audience as well as a creator. You are working as a creator also, because at many times you are disseminating informations, you are producing informations, and it provides a unique experience of social collaboration and social interaction. And if you are talking about a traditional mass media, is message driven. Social media is conversation driven. Means traditional mass media is one way, one to many communications, and social media is two way or one to one communication. So here, when you're talking about the mass media, you will always find some media organizations and media institutions, and the societal forces, means the power and several other forces, have always a kind of interplay with those media organizations, and accordingly they will produce knowledge, they will disseminate informations, and they are considering the people not always as citizens but as consumers. And to satisfy the consumers, at many times they are producing knowledge. So this is always challenging. And when we are talking about what kind of knowledge we have, what kind of information we are disseminating, what kind of information we are disseminating during COVID-19 pandemic, you'll find, even if you take the example of this region, then you'll find several media organizations we have, several media institutions we have, and the same informations have been interpreted in a very different way, and they're placing it in a different way in front of the audience. The same informations, what should be the role of the state, what the government is doing, what the health department is doing. The same, if you go through the news channels, then what you will find, the same information has been interpreted in a very different way. So it is very difficult for the consumers or for the audience to take a decision or to come to a conclusion that what information should be accepted and what information should be rejected. And similarly in the social media, because the individuals, they are the creator, content creator, and they have their own purpose of creating those content. Maybe political reasons, maybe some other reasons, but people are constantly engage themselves in creating content. And when you are creating content and you are disseminating it through social sites, so through social media, then what the consumers or the audience, it is always very difficult to accept what knowledge is reliable, what information is reliable, and what is not. So for this reason, even if you want to be an audience of the social media, or if you want to be an audience of the mass media, then what you need some critical thinking. Otherwise, all of you are familiar. We are all familiar with the misinformation that has been disseminated from different social media sites, from different mass media sites. So that critical thinking we needed. We have to evaluate those informations, and for that, we must have an understanding how social media and the mass media was working from its very beginning, from its very starting point. So we must have a clear understanding on the difference between social media and the mass media, and how as an audience, you are going to evaluate, or you are going to be critical on the informations that has been disseminated through the media agencies or media organizations or media institutions. So now a question about the role and the impact of mass media during COVID-19 pandemic cannot be answered in broad generalities. It cannot be answered in broad generalities because mass media impacts various types of people and institutions at various levels of society under various conditions. The people are different, the institutions are different. We have various levels in the society. We have different conditions. So the question about the role and impact of mass media during COVID-19 pandemic cannot be answered in broad generalities, and we have to go in deeper to have a kind of understanding on these issues. Again, here we can distinguish between the effects and effectiveness of mass media during COVID-19. When we are talking about effects of mass media, it includes both the intended and unintended consequences of media operation. Both the intended and unintended consequences of media operation, because when we are talking about the intended consequences, why the media is disseminating a kind of information, definitely it has some kind of intentions. But again, we have to face some unintended consequences also from those disseminating information, or maybe it is a kind of misinformations, and for it may have some kind of negative consequences in the society or the culture at large. So when we're talking about the effects of mass media, it includes both intended and unintended consequences of media operation. But when we are talking about the effectiveness of then what you will find, it refers to the capacity to achieve given objectives, whether this be attracting large audience or influencing opinions and behaviors. So all the media houses or the media institutions or organizations, whether it is mass media or social media, it has some objectives, it has some targets, and effectiveness refers to the capacity to achieve those given objectives, whether that may be attracting the large audience or influencing opinions and behaviors of others. Again, we need to be clear about the level on which effects occur. We have much clear understanding on the level on which effects occur. We are talking about the impacts, we are talking about the effect and effectiveness, but at the same time, we must be clear about the level on which effects occur, whether this is at the level of individual level, this is at a group level, this is at the institution level, or the whole society or the culture. As we are talking about the role and impact of mass media, many questions may come to our mind. The first important question that comes to our mind is that, are the media changing something? Because the chaotic situation have emerged due to this pandemic, and people are panic. People are not in a position to take decisions what to do. There is an economic situation. So in that situation, are the media changing something? What role the media is playing in overcoming from those economic situations, or they are giving some kind of relief to the people to overcome from those changing from those economic situations. And the second pertinent question is are the media preventing something? What role the media is playing in preventing or to fight against the consequences of this pandemic? And the third important question is, are the media facilitating something or reinforcing and reaffirming something? Means certain norms, rules, regulations have changed. So many changes have taken place. And because earlier we are talking about close interaction, we are talking about cohesiveness, we are talking about interaction with the people because we cannot think about our social life without having interaction. But the new pandemic situations has created an environment where you have to maintain social distancing, means you have to maintain physical distancing, but in terms of other ways you may have some kind of interaction with the other people, but you have to maintain the physical distancing. In doing that, are the media, and we know the importance of maintaining social distance. So what is the importance, what is the need of maintaining social distancing? What is the importance of maintaining health and hygiene, cleanliness? Whether the media facilitating something or reinforcing and reaffirming something to the people. So these questions are very pertinent. And as a student of sociology, if I'm going to address these questions, as a student of sociology, if I have to address these questions, then I have to examine first the media institutions. I have to examine the media institutions, means for whom because we have institutions and organizations in the form of media houses. So for whom and how they're producing knowledge or they're disseminating informations. And second, the content, the representation and social power in media. And third, the media influences, means audiences and technology. Media influences on audiences and the role of technology. So if you go back, then we will find, and this part is important because, as I have already told you, that we are saturated with a lot of informations from different social sites, from different media houses. So now we are not in a position to take decision which one is reliable and which one is not, and to take a position to evaluate their knowledge and informations, why they're producing information, why they're disseminating a kind of information. Then we have to go back to the critical thought that the sociologists and other social scientists have given on the media industry. So the contribution of the European and US sociologists make it clear about the role and contribution of media in shaping social behavior. If you give a close look to the ideas of the pluralists, then you'll find that, or they argue that the media should help democracy by facilitating the dissemination of ideas. During 1950s, the pluralists, they have their argument and they have their really firm belief that the media should help democracy by facilitating the dissemination of ideas. Then, however, by the mid-1960s, by the 1960s, their views were contested. Their views were contested and debated alongside alternative Marxist conception that had grown in importance. Scholars from these traditions clashed over differing conceptions of the autonomy of media organization and media professionals from the elite power. The autonomy means to what extent they have the freedom. They have the freedom means the media institutions and organizations have the freedom in disseminating a kind of information for its audience. The autonomy of media organization and media professionals from elite power means, say, we know that even in pandemic situation, when we are talking about disseminating of informations, if the informations are same, if their purpose is same, then why the same information, same knowledge has been interpreted from different angle, from different perspective, and that has been placed in front of the audience in a different way. And people are in chaotic situation, they're in puzzle. Somebody is saying that no, in the name of pandemic, the people, those who are identified as COVID positive, when they're placed in the institutions, in the hospitals, they are given this and this kind of training. So people are very satisfied with the government efforts. So if and they get some kind of relief from their tensions, and at many times they are ready to go to that kind of testing, and they will admit themselves in the COVID hospitals. But in certain cases, the media has exposed how the patients have been treated in the COVID hospitals, and what and they're very much furious about those that particular disease, and they're not in a position, and they fail to develop the courage to admit themselves in those COVID hospitals. Why? Because the informations have been disseminated in a very different way. If you are with the power, if you are with the government, if the media organization is under the control of a government, or it is under the influence of some political leaders, those who are running the government, those who are in power, they're producing, they're disseminating the knowledge in a different way, and those who are not in power, or those, and they are producing or disseminating the information in a very different way. So the autonomy of media organization and media professionals from elite power, that was contested. The diversity of ideas in media content. Then the influence of mass media and agency of mass media audiences, because we have an audience, and what about the influence of mass media on those audiences? So in the 1980s again, feminism, globalization, and work on media audiences help shape sociological perspective on mass media. Although the interest in power, the agency of social actors inside and outside the media institutions remain. These concerns were explored with sociological work that fragmented according to their focus on media institution, media content, and media audiences. So we must have some kind of look on to the media institution and how the thinkers, how the scholars, those who are working in this particular field, they are becoming critical on the media institution. As media sociology studies of media institutions and their operations have followed insights from earlier sociological writing. For example, we can cite the statement of Max Weber, and he suggested that sociological research should focus on institution of journalism and examine them in terms of who owns and controls them. Means who owns and controls the media institution or the organization, and political and commercial influences on how they operate. In operation of those institutions, what about the political and commercial influences? Means to what extent they're maintaining autonomy in disseminating the information and producing knowledge. And Weber's suggestion provide an early example of researching how wider political and economic as well as societal context influence media organizations. The media, the social media, the mass media, continuously and constantly they are disseminating informations. But they are under some political and economic influence, under some sort of societal influences. So they are not free, they are not value free, they are not bias free. They are disseminating information to satisfy a group of people, those who are controlling them, those who have the grip on those media organizations and institutions. Following this line in inquiry in 1956, a work that has been done by Silbert, and claims that organizations take on the form and structures of the social system in which they operate. Organizations take on the form and structures of the social system in which they operate. Means you cannot separate the media house, the media institutions or media organization from that of the form and structures of the social system. And that social system structure will shape the media organization, media institution, and accordingly, the information will be disseminated. So again, in 2010, recently, a decade ago, Helena Mancini, they have conducted a work and stated that media organizations' relationship with the state or government is a key feature in the process. You are disseminating knowledge, you are disseminating information, but you are not free from the government forces. Means media organizations have a close relationship with the state or the government in disseminating the information for the audiences or for the people. Even in Western democratic countries, government established rules to regulate media organizations, including how large they can grow, who can own them, and how they can operate, for avoiding to impartiality and freedom of speech. But in other political systems, when we are talking about the non-democratic governments, tend to extend direct control over how media organizations can operate and what they can produce. Government, the state or the government will give the direction to the media organization or institution what kind of knowledge or information they can disseminate, they can produce, and accordingly, the media institutions and organizations have to work. So, government tend to extend direct control over how media organizations can operate and what they can produce. So, it is also observed that the connections among the media organizations and other elites in democracies. And this is, if you give a close look to the media organizations in India, media institutions in India, then you'll find that there is a close link between the media organizations and the elites of the different field or elites in the democracies. And this is more varied than a singular relationship with the state governments. For example, the shareholders and funders of the media organizations and other industries. Because this is a very big business. If you want to go establish a media house, or if you are going to establish a media institution or organization, you need huge amount of money, and some shareholders and funders will always be there. And they will have a kind of control on what knowledge you are going to produce, what information you are going to disseminate, and how you are going to place it in front of your audiences. So in their positions, they can influence the direction of a media organization and prevent it from covering issues or areas that will harm their interest. They will not allow the media organization or institution to produce or disseminate a kind of information which can stands as a barrier in the path of their interest or that will harm their interest. So, moreover, if you are talking about the private owners of mass media, as we all know that the media houses we have, the media organizers, institutions we have, and there's private ownership today. Even in this region, even in Northeast India, you will find so many media institutions and organizations we have that continuously and constantly disseminating information to fulfill their own perspectives, to fulfill their own interests. They have their founder, they have their shareholders, and they cannot go against the very interests of those shareholders and the funders. So the private owners of mass media outlets exercise authority by defining the overall goals and scope of corporations and determining the general way it develops its productive resources. So, in specific terms, if we want to say on this, in the process of these owners have allocative control over their resources and operational controls. The private owners, the individual owners, they have their allocative control over resources and operational control over the management and day-to-day operation of these media houses. They apply influence in the process of hiring and then shaping compatible employees who will reproduce preferred stances and ideas when shaping media products. So besides this, there are direct interventions of owners. The owner, he has his direct interventions into the operations of media organizations to not allow their media to publish material that's frustrating their vital elements. If something go against their interest, they are not going to produce, or they are not going to disseminate or allow to disseminate those informations and knowledge. This approach of media institution also highlights the profit motive as a significant factor, because while the media houses are there, or while the media institutions and organizations are there, they are not only there to disseminate the informations that is needed for the audiences. At many times, politics are there, power is there, and they are disseminating informations to fulfill the objectives or goals or the greater interest of some dominant sections of the society. At many times. They apply influences in the process of hiring and then shaping compatible employees. Besides this, there are direct interventions of the owners in the operation of media organizations. As I have already told you, this approach of media institution also highlights the profit motive as a significant factor that underpins the actions of most media owners. It recognizes a growing towards monopoly and the processes that led to the increasing interconnection among the media business, including the buying of smaller components in the sector, that is horizontal and integration and conglomeration. Then number two, the purchasing of related business in the production, distribution, and retailing, that is vertical integration. In addition to noting the disproportionate influence of large monopolies, it is also argued that organizations that follow the profit motive help create a wider, standardized media culture that is uncritical and political regressive. What they are doing by disseminating some of the ideas, some of the informations as per their interest, they are trying to create a media culture, a standardized media culture, which is uncritical. The media, what they have to do, the media persons, the media workers, they have to be critical on the issues. They have to be value free. And then they have to disseminate the information so that that can give the real picture of the situation, the real picture of the society, and that will help the audiences. But what they are doing, the people, they are trying to, the powerful people, they are trying to create an standardized media culture that is uncritical and politically regressive, in the words of Theodore Adorno and Max Horkheimer. They are saying that those media houses, they're creating an standardized media culture, and that is uncritical and politically regressive. In a sense, this media culture positions media audiences as consumers rather than citizens. So what they are doing, the media organization, the media institutions, at many times, they are not considering the people, as I have already told you at the very beginning, they are not considering the people as audience. They are not considering the people as, they are not considering their audiences as citizens, citizens with cultural rights. What they are doing, they are considering, or they are accepting the audiences as consumers, and to satisfy the consumers, they are disseminating the information. So what they are doing, they are playing with the minds of the consumers. The way the capitalist world, what they are doing, they're producing, they're placing something in the market, and you are going to buy those products. And why you are going to buy those products? Because before that, through different agencies, they're playing with your mind, they're creating some kind of false needs, psychologically created false needs, and you are going to buy those corporate products. Similarly, here also in the media institutions, at many times what they are doing, they are considering the consumers, or they are considering their audience not as citizens with cultural rights. What they are doing, they are considering them as consumers, and they want to sell their products, means their informations, the content they have produced to satisfy a group of people, a sections of people, a powerful section of society. And in doing that, they imposes the cultural values of more developed nations on others. And what they are doing, at many times, there is an imposition of the cultural values of more developed countries, or the values of the dominant sections of the society on the others. And accordingly, the citizens, means for them, the consumers, they have consumed all the information without having any critical thinking, without having any critical thought, and that has shaped the behavior of the people in the society. So this is the macro approach we have on the media organizations or in the media houses, and the sociologists are very critical. They're very critical about the role played by the media organizations and media institutions, and how they're not free from the powerhouses, how they're not free from the state hegemony, how they're not free, how they're regulated by the state power, by the existing government. That has, on those aspects, they're very critical. They're becoming very critical. And then I will proceed to the micro approach of the sociologists or the social scientists on the very media organization and media institutions. And in this micro approach, to media institution focuses on the organization of media work and media workers. How the media work has been organized, and what about the role of the media workers. Media work explores the setting of media products, including the organization of media work, device to produce sellable products, means they are going to the media workers. They are not free. They are not given autonomy by the media organization or media institutions. All the media workers, those who are working as journalists and all, and many times they have lost their autonomy, they have lost their freedom. And they are not always going to disseminate the informations. There is a kind of media representation, means the knowledge has been produced, the information has been produced as per the greater interest of the owner of that media organization or media house, or the founder of the media organization or media house. So what they are trying to, they are always talking about those sellable products, means what kind of information should be disseminated to the people, which for content or information they can sell to their consumers. So that aspect we have. So media work devised to produce sellable products and to overcome the risks associated with the marketplace. As a part of this approach, studies have certain the structural positions of workers in roles within the media institutions. This has not only helped to overcome the institution authority over the activities, but also workers' experience of different levels of autonomy. Although, and that's where you will find, if you have a close look to the works of the journalists, when they're in a particular media house or media institutions, their ideology, their ideas, their voices are different, but when they have joined some media organization or institutions, some other media organization or institutions, drastically, there is a shift in their ideas, their thinking, their dissemination of information. Why? Why? Because they are under control of those media house or media organization institutions. They are producing content, but in producing the content, they are not getting autonomy, or they have no freedom. whatever they are producing, everything according to the greater interest of the media institution owners, media organization owners, and there is no institutional authority over the activities, but also workers experience of different levels of autonomy. So this is what the micro approach talking about, because at the beginning when we are talking about a macro approach, we are focusing on how the power structures control the media organization, media institution, and in the micro approach, how the media workers, they are not given the autonomy, they are not given the freedom to produce a kind of content, the real content, the actual content for the audiences. What they are producing, what content they are producing, what information they are disseminating, the information which is sellable in the market. They are producing sellable products in the form of informations. And if you give a close to the information that has been disseminated through the media, you will find, instead of becoming critical comment, or instead of creating an environment to have some kind of critical thought or input on the informations, what they are trying to impose those informations as real, as reliable for the for its consumers. So now I'll shift to the media content, because at the very beginning I told you that when we are going to speak about the role and impact of mass media during COVID-19, then pandemic, then we must have to look at the phenomenon critically, and to have a critical thought, we must go to the sociologists or the other social scientists' interpretation on the media organization and media institution, and they have to focus on the media institution and organization, media content, and the audiences. So I shift to the media content now. The sociologist study of media products or content also offers insight into the wider connection between. You'll find a wider connection between media, culture, and society. In short, research in this tradition has explored the relationship between media, content, and social structure of society, the media content and the social structure of society. I'll be happy to use the term media representation here, particularly those depicting gender, those talking about ethnicity, those talking about class, reflect the influence of power and influence the thoughts and actions of individuals. Here, media representation describes the simple ideas that media content constructs or builds a version of reality rather than reflecting actual reality. So there's a difference between the actual reality, what is happening in the society, what is going on in the society, the real picture, and the media representation. There is a first difference. So what I mean by the media representation, here media representation describes the simple idea that media content constructs or builds a version of reality. They are producing a kind of knowledge, they are producing a kind of informations as per their interest. So the reality has been not produced, or the reality has not been placed as it is for the audiences. There is a media version. What I want to use a term, media representation. So media sociology began to examine the content means to audiences rather than simple view of how media affect them. So a branch of work in this tradition, you'll find those who are familiar with the sociological tradition, you'll find a branch of work in this tradition use the ideas of Emile Durkheim on religion and rituals to understand how media content provides collective shared meanings, and in turn support social cohesion. They focus primarily on Durkheim's idea that society needs upholding and reaffirming at regular intervals the collective sentiments and collective ideas which make its unity and its personality. That came out in his famous work, The Elementary Forms of Religious Life, where religion made society divine in pre-modern societies. Civic rituals, he suggested, were offering a functional equivalent to religious rituals in modern secularized society. Inspired in this way, media sociology, if you want to apply that Durkheimian's understanding on media sociology, or if you are going to look at the media organization or institution from Durkheimian perspective or from Durkheimian lens, then what you will find, media sociology suggests that media play a significant role in reproducing these collective ideas common to them. And this visual communication approach has been explored in several ways, where the media is seen to reproduce ideas of community and solidarity, in broadcasting civic rituals, in constructing general media events, and during crisis situations, in depicting crisis situations like the COVID-19 pandemic. So by contrast, the desires to evaluate media representation in terms of power relations, because I'm already talking about there is always a power relation in the media organization and institution and disseminating the sellable products for the consumers. So a strain of this work refers to the thoughts of Karl Marx on the formation of capitalist societies into the bourgeois and proletariat economic group, where the former group means the bourgeois, the former group owns both the means of production, that is labor, land capital, and the mental means of production on the mass media. Mental means of production of the mass media. Talking this Marxist view of society as a starting point, this media sociology suggests that media content legitimate the social and economic status quo for the reproduction of general ideas or ideology. What the media houses are doing, they are reproducing some general ideas or ideology to legitimize the social and economic status quo. So what they are doing, they are producing everything for whom? They are producing everything for the people, those who are in power, and to legitimize their powerful position, their social position, to legitimize their economic position, or to maintain their social and economic status quo. They are producing the general ideas or ideology, and they are selling those sellable products to its audiences. So from this discussion at the very first point, or at the very first step, what I am trying to say, that when media is disseminating information, media is saying something, media is producing something, or they are producing some sellable products for its consumers or for its audiences, then that is not always the real picture of the society. That is not always the real picture of the phenomena. Because the media, there is a kind of media representation. As I have already told you, when I'm talking about media representation, there is a media version of the reality. They are not placing the reality in front of the audience at many times. There is a media version, there is a media representation, and why that version has been created to legitimize the social and economic status quo of the dominant sections of the society, or the greater interest of the people who have owned the media organization and media institutions. So the media organization and media institution will decide what content has to be produced, what has to be sold to its audience or to its consumers. They will rather considering their audiences as citizens with cultural rights. They will consider the audiences as consumers, and they will always produce the sellable products in the form of information. So the things that will be disseminated in the mass media or in the social media is not always reliable, because there is a media representation, there is a media version. So how will evaluate those things? How will evaluate that these informations are not true, these informations are false, this is the media representation? So how will come to a conclusion to that? So, and that's why we have that argument, because at the very beginning, when Madam has given the introductory speech, she's saying that, and even the vice principal also, when he's saying that media is disseminating misinformation for the society during COVID-19 at many times. Both the mass media as well as social media, they are disseminating misinformation. But why they are disseminating misinformation? There should be a purpose behind that. If that has been produced by a media organization or media institution, you are just the consumers. You, as a consumer, or you as a audience, you are not in the center. You are playing a passive role. And when you are playing a passive role, the media representation will have its influence on you, and they will giving everything to you. They will disseminate information according to their wish. So they are not considering you at the center. You are a passive audience, and you have no role to play, and you are going to accept the information they have disseminated. So that position as an audience is always questionable. And even the information that has been disseminated by the media houses or by the media organizations and the content they have produced, that's why even during the pandemic situation, we have a lot of misinformations, because there is a hidden agenda, there is politics, there are certain forces why those misinformations has been produced. Say, for example, in Assam, when at the very initial stage of identifying the COVID-19 positives personnel, when they are belonging to a particular community, religious community, how the media organizations and media institutions, they are trying to disseminate information, and they're trying to blame a particular community, that this particular community is responsible for spreading COVID symptomatic patients in this region, and they're blaming a particular community there. What is the agenda behind it? What is the political agenda behind it? Definitely, certain forces have played a very pivotal role there. There are certain forces have played a very key role there in influencing those media organizations, in influencing those media institutions, and accordingly they have produced the content, they produce the informations. There's a media representation, and a communal color is given even in the pandemic situation. So we have a lot of informations, countless misinformations in the social media. And even although I'm considering as misinformation, and many times we are not in a position to evaluate whether it is right or wrong, because we are not doing those empirical studies. But this is happening. So that color has been given. That communal color has been given. So who has produced those informations with what purpose? That has to be questions. So we should not always rely on the informations that media houses have produced, the media organizations have produced, and even in the social media, when we are talking about social media, because at the very beginning I told you about the differences between the two. In terms of social media, you are the content creator, because if you have a YouTube site, or if you are in Facebook, if you are in WhatsApp, you are a creator of that content. You are creating some kind of information. You are creating some kind of content. But with what purpose? For whom? Are you free? Are you value free? Are you free from the existing prejudices that you have in your mind? No, you are not free from those prejudices. You are not free from those already existing body of knowledge. So if you are not free, and then you are creating a content, you are disseminating some information in YouTube or in media, then to what extent that information is reliable, then definitely it will be considered as a misinformation. And that misinformation definitely have its negative impact on the society. People are not in a position, if the role of the media is to aware the people about the situation, about the circumstances, about the crisis in the pandemic situation. So similar kind of information has to be, language may be different, but the core of the content has to be same. But same thing has been produced in a very different way, from different angles, from different perspectives, to satisfy different people. And if you are producing those things, the media organization produce those things, and as an individual creator in the YouTube and other social sites, if you are creating and you have a kind of conversation with the other people in the social sites, you are disseminating the misinformation, and definitely it has its negative impact in the society. So what I will try to say here is that we have a lot of what role the media will play, what role the media has played in the pandemic situation. What role the media have played? Yes, media have played certain positive role, definitely positive roles, especially in mobilizing the masses, especially in creating awareness among the people about the symptoms of the disease, about the symptoms of the disease, about the importance of maintaining social distancing, about the precautions, about disseminating the informations, the rules and regulations that has been declared by the government, by the Prime Minister, to the people at the grassroots, to the audiences. So that part is okay. That played a very important role. The government, there is a kind of cooperation with the government. They are supporting the government, because that was the only way to overcome from this problem. So maintenance of social distancing was considered very important, and they are helping the government in channelizing or distributing the informations, the rules that have been declared by the government and to their audiences. So the media house, the media institution, the organization, the YouTubers, the bloggers, and the other social media sites, social sites, they are playing a very crucial role, very important role. There is no doubt. But in many cases, the role of the media is very critical. Why? The role of the media is very critical because as I have cited the example of our own region, of our own state, how the patients have been given a communal color, and that kind of information definitely create problems in the larger social system or the larger social structure. So the role, definitely they have played positive role, because we are becoming aware. But at the same time, the language, we must be very clear about the language of the media organizations and institutions when they are producing the knowledge or when they are producing the content, because media must be there to help the people at many times. They have to encourage the people. They have to free the people or emancipate the people from the panic situations. But the way they are delivering the things, the way they are presenting the things, they create more vulnerable situation, panic situation for the people. So that should not be done. So definitely we have limitations in, we can become critical on the role of the media in the pandemic situation. And again, you will find one interesting information that all over the world, the media houses, the powerful media houses of the developed world, they have started to blame the China government for, or the Chinese for this COVID-19 pandemic. But, and that has been circulated in a very different way, and that has created problems for many Chinese people all over the world, those who are, even those who are working for as doctor for, and they are treating the patients in some other countries. So several problems we have, several issues we have. So the impact, the role of the media has to be critically looked out. And as people belonging to the academics, as people actively engaged in the research, we must be critical about these things, and we have to disseminate information. We have to become critical on the media representation. So this is about the role, and when we are talking about the impact of the mass media during COVID, definitely if you have misconceptions or misinformations, definitely it will have some kind of impact. And if you have negative information, positive informations, or if you are producing informations to emancipate the people from the panic situations, then definitely it has some positive impacts. So to assess the impact, to evaluate the impact, to evaluate the rule, to evaluate the effect and effectiveness, we need further research. We have to go for empirical investigation. We have to interact with the media houses. We have to go for a kind of participatory research. Only then we'll understand how these media institutions or organizations and the content they have produced have its impact on its audiences, because we are all audiences. We are not the creator, we are the audiences. But in the social media sector, you are becoming the creator. So when you are becoming a creator of an information, you are creator of an content, you have to be very serious. Why? Because you have to free yourself from all kind of prejudices, all kind of values, and you have to place the things in a very objective way, in a very objective way, in a very concrete way, so that there should not be a other version of social media representation. But that is happening. But the irony is that that is happening in the society, and we have to face a lot of problems due to that. So with these words, I would like to thank the organizer of this webinar to give me an opportunity to share some of my thoughts on this area. Although I'm not a media person, as a student of sociology, I have developed some kind of critical thinking, how to look at the media organization, media institution, the content and the audiences, and how the sociologists and other social thinkers have become critical about the role played by the media houses, media institutions, and the autonomy, the question of autonomy about the journalists when they are producing something, whether they are producing sellable products or whether they are considering the audience as consumers or citizens with cultural rights. So these are the understandings we have. So instead of focusing directly on that media is doing these and these things, media have played these and these roles. All we know about them because we are dealing with the social media, what kind of information they have disseminated, if misinformation they have disseminated, and why. So we are familiar with those things. We are familiar with these impacts. As you know, people are becoming very panic, and lot of suicide cases we have during the pandemic situation. So don't you think that the way the media persons or the information that is disseminated in the to the audiences, that has some kind of impact, direct or indirect impact on the person psychology who has committed suicide? Definitely it has, but that has to be based on research evidences. We cannot say directly that we are going to make blame, or we are going to blame the media houses for this or the other social media for this. No, for that we have to do research. So as a creator in the social media, we have to be very conscious. So what I am trying to say here is that this is the understanding I have as a student of sociology. So instead of focusing directly on the impact of media and role of media in the pandemic situation, in my presentation, I have emphasized on how the whole media organization is working, how they are producing content, keeping in view the audiences as the consumers, and that if you can develop a kind of understanding on these critical aspects, then definitely as a learned person, as a person who has continuous engagement with the academics, with research, will definitely be in a position to evaluate the role and impact of mass media in COVID pandemic situation. So I would like to request the students of sociology and the other disciplines also, because all these things, whatever we have discussed, this is across disciplines, this is beyond the disciplinary boundaries. Again, this is a kind of because if you are going to attach yourself with a particular discipline, you are not value free. Again, you have to think beyond the discipline. So in an interdisciplinary way, when we are going to analyze these things, then definitely we'll understand the whole issues. So with these few words, I would like to thank the organizer once again for giving me a space to share some of my thoughts on this area. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Hello.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, for this valuable insight. There are some of the questions of the participants. So now I would like to hand over the platform to Dr. Putul Bora, sir, for the interactive session. Over to you, Putul Bora, sir.
Okay, thank you, Surendra Kaur, sir. Hello, is it audible?
Yes, yes, audible.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Dr. Putul Bora, Assistant Professor of Department of Sociology, Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya. First of all, I want to say that it was a great honor and privilege for us. Dr. Vikas Deka, resource person of this seminar, has given valuable information and innovative ideas and wonderful presentation of this topic. Thank you, Dr. Vikas Deka, sir, for your nice presentation. Now I want to carry on the interactive session of this seminar. This interactive session is also an important part of this seminar. Therefore, I would like to request Dr. Vikas Deka, sir, for interactive interaction with the participant of this seminar. In this interaction, I would like to request all the participants for asking any type of question to related this topic to Vikas Deka, sir. So please feel free for asking question and post your question in chat box. Okay, I'm going to read it the chat box. The question is coming from the participants. First one, Sanjit Swagiara, and sir, what kind of the role is media, within bracket print and electronic, playing to remove the COVID-19 fear psychosis from the common people.
Okay, once again, please repeat the question.
Sir, what kind of role is media, print or electronics, playing to remove the COVID-19 fear psychosis from the common people?
Yeah, in my presentation, I have some kind of analysis on that because the media can play a very important role, both the print media as well as the electronic media. But what the problem with the media is that there is a kind of media representation, as I have told you. And when I'm talking about media representation means it does not actually it does not portray the real situation of the pandemic situation. What they are trying to do at many times, there is a kind of media representation because they are creating a body of knowledge, they're creating a body of informations as per the interest of the owner of the media organization, whether it is a print media or this is an electronic media. And since they are producing knowledge, they're disseminating information to satisfy that media organizations, media institutions, and that's why at many times they fail to address the people. And all of you can, if you have your exposure to those news and all, definitely you will find, even in the national news channels, what should be the role of the media workers? They have to present the things in such a manner that they can free the people from the panic situation or from the fear psychosis. But what they are doing at many times, because there are certain ethics, certain norms, at many times the way they're using their languages. And if you will go through those newses, then definitely you will be in a panic situation because the way they're delivering the things is definitely will create certain problems for you. But what you can do, but if they are not going to present the things in that way, and they, before presenting the things, before disseminating the information, they have to be very clear that what kind of information has to be disseminated to the audience. They should not always consider the audience as consumers of the information, and accordingly they have to present. Only then they will be in a position to emancipate the people from those fear psychosis of the pandemic situation. Otherwise, this is a very difficult job, and at many times they are not depicting the real situation, and whatever they are depicting, everything from the perspective of that media organizations and media institutions. When they are placing the information, they are not thinking about the people. They are not thinking about the people, those who have consumed, or those who have, those who are the audiences of those informations, or those who are going to consume those informations. Thank you.
Okay, Vikas Daga sir, Dr. Vikas Daga sir. The second question is coming from Monica Gohai from the Assamese Department, Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya. She is asking the question, media has become our asset in making people aware about the situation, but sometimes media platforms provide us misinformation also. So, sir, how do you view spreading misinformation on social media about this pandemic?
Again, I think
already mentioned all thing.
Yeah, that question has been answered. I think because as I already told you that if you are in social media, you have your opportunity to create the content as well as you can disseminate that content to your audiences, or you will get the opportunity to have some kind of interaction, collaborative interaction with the people. But since you are a creator, so to what extent you are value free? to what extent you are free from the prejudices. And if you are value free, you are free from the prejudices, then only you have your right to produce or disseminate information through social media sites. But without having any critical thought, without having any critical thinking, without having any capacity of evaluating the things rationally, if you are going to disseminate the things, that will definitely create problems. So I would like to request the people, those who are creating informations, those who are producing informations, they have to be critical, they have to think about the people, and they have to disseminate the real picture. And this should not be the manufactured one to fulfill the interest of a few sections of the society. Thank you.
One more question. Ketakam Buraguai is asking about you, sir. What is your views on mass media on psychosociological development of children?
Mass media on psychosociological development of
children.
Children, yes. This is a very important question, because what I feel is that the child has been socialized in different stages of life, and as we know, through different agencies, we are trying to impart the norms, values of the society to the child, and the media is becoming a very important agency today. But at many times you will find that the parents, they will always try to keep away their child from the bad companies, that you don't go there, if you are going to interact with that guys, these boys, then you will learn this and this thing. So they are restricting their children not to interact with some selected sections of people. But when the child have the exposure to the mass media, the parents have no control on that. But as you know, as already we have discussed, that in social media or in the mass media, you have lots of misconceptions, misinformation. And if your child is getting those misinformations or misconceptions, then definitely that will have some kind of negative impact on the social and psychological development of the child. And how you, as a parent, as mother or as father, how you are going to restrict your child, and how you are going to, instead of restricting, how you are going to guide your child to have the exposure to the social media or the mass media. That is very important. And if you can guide properly, then definitely it will have some positive consequences on the social psychological development. But if you fail, then definitely that will again create devastating situation for you. So both for you and for your child. So what you have to do, you must have your knowledge, your understanding on the social media, critical understanding on the social media and the mass media. Otherwise, how you can handle or how you can guide your child in when they have their exposure to these things. So what is happening these days? Many of the parents, they have no knowledge about these things. And for everything, they have to depend on their child who is just 7 years, 8 years, 9 or 10 years. And the parents, they are controlling, they are not in a position to control their child because they have no control on the mass media. They have no knowledge on the mass media, social media. People have their knowledge on the technology. The child have their knowledge. They know how to run the technology. So the parents, they are becoming dependent on their child, and it should not be like that. And if it is continued, if it is going to be happen, then definitely it will have some negative consequences in the psychosocial development of the child. So mass media can play a very important role, because many good things are there, but the parents must be in a position to evaluate which one is good, which one is bad. So they must be guided by the critical thinking or methodical thinking today. Thank you.
Okay, one more question. Swainika Bora is asking about the several talent programs are organized by mass media. Is it effect for us to relieve from mental stress during COVID-19 pandemic?
Then definitely, but before going through those workshop programs, you must need to know who has produced those knowledge, why they have produced those, or why they have organized those workshops. What is the purpose behind it? If you are in a position to take some kind of decisions behind the purpose of organizing those workshops, seminars, or other spiritual activities that is very popular in the social science today, then definitely that will work. But if there is a hidden agenda, if there is a political agenda behind it, then accordingly, very chances are there to have some kind of molding as per their ideas or as per their issues, and it may have some problems. So you must have your knowledge. If something is there in the social media or in the mass media, why that has been placed, why that has been produced, what are the politics behind it, what are the powers behind it. To some extent, we have to explore those aspects. We have to be critical. Then definitely social media have positive impacts, a lot of positive things we have. We cannot deny that social media, we cannot deny social media today. And due to some of its limitations, we have to accept it, but think critically before participating or pursuing anything from the sites. Thank you.
The Bipasa Khan, Department of Sociology, Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya, asking one question: what role can play the media play in managing COVID-19 outbreak?
Yeah, all of you are familiar with these things because you as an audience or as a citizen, how you came to know about social distancing, how you came to know about social, because you have close interaction with the people. But in COVID-19, to fight against COVID-19, you have to maintain social distancing. This is a new word. Quarantine. This is a new word. So, but then you wearing masks, sanitizer, all these new things have come up. How you came to know about these things? Definitely from the social media you came to know about these things. So likewise, many positive things are there. You are becoming aware about these things. What is happening in Italy? What is happening in China? What is happening in other worlds, in the most developed countries, those who have good health infrastructure? What is the situation in India? When you are becoming aware about these things, automatically you have started to work, or you have started to behave. At the beginning, there was a problem in wearing masks, but now people are habituated with these things. Who has disseminated these information to you? Moody has some kind of declaration. He has explained. He has his address to the citizens. But how you came to know about these things? Definitely through media. So definitely media has played a very pivotal role here in fighting with the COVID situations, COVID-19 situations. So whatever information you have gathered is not misinformation, the positive information you have gathered, that is from the media itself, because you have no direct exposure to these things. And that's why I think it has very positive impact, positive role media has to play if they are going to emancipate themselves from that of the powerhouses. If they are given the autonomy, then definitely they will have good contributions. Thank you.
Jahnavi Sharma is asking one question. Through media, we have learned so many things about COVID-19, and which has become beneficial for us. It is also equally true that illiterate would not benefit from print media. How can we make them aware about the pandemic COVID-19? It's a very general question.
Okay, print media, since they cannot go through the writings, so print media may have problems. But this we have TVs, we have other social media, because all the people, they have the exposure to the mobiles, TV, and other social media sites, YouTubes. They have the exposure to these things, so definitely they are aware about these things. But the important point is that what kind of information we are disseminating through this social media, that is important. If print media is not there, because even the people, those are larger sections of the society, they are not getting the opportunity to go through these hard copies of the newspapers and all. But through different social media sites, they are learning a lot. And all the people They have this technology, they have these devices. Even the people, those who are very poor, they have their mobiles today. They can get the informations. So through social media, what we can do, we can disseminate the things in a very simple manner. If the language is difficult, if they cannot read or go through these, if they have to overcome the language barriers, then the learner sections of the society, voluntarily what they can do through YouTubes and other channels, they can disseminate, or they can simplify the things, they can simplify the informations, and they can place the things in front of the illiterate sections of the society, because we have to make the things very simple. Otherwise, what is quarantine? It will be difficult for their understanding. But now they are understanding. But at the very beginning, it was a difficult term. This was a new term for us even. So social distancing, this is becoming problematic for them. So what is the meaning of that? That has to be simplified. And that can be placed in a very simple way in social media, so that the illiterate sections of the society can understand. We can use TV, we can use, they can hear the things. So we can use TV, we can use radio and the other electronic media for that. Thank you.
One more question. Pintu Roy asking about, do you feel the existence of political economy between media houses and corporate? And do you believe that
What
when
was the
people,
question?
do you feel the existence of a political economy between media houses and corporate?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
There is a direct relationship between the two, because the corporates, even you see, if, one simple example I would like to cite. Even when you are disseminating some information or your newses or the knowledges by the media houses or by the media institutions, the corporate advertisements are always there. You will find some advertisement. If you are wearing Raymond, you are a complete man. You will find the advertising, different advertising agencies of different multinational corporations. So there you will find a kind of relationship. But again, what you will do, the media houses, what they want to do, or the people, those who are in power, the corporates, what they will do, they want to control the media, and that's why they have their private ownership, their private run or private ownership media organization, media institutions. And what they will do, they will disseminate information for their interest only. And at many times, what I am talking about, media representation. They will not give you the real picture. They will be a kind of media representation, so that can cater the needs of that the interest of the corporates, and accordingly things has been delivered. So even if I want to tell you, if you are entering into a shopping mall, you are going to buy something. Do you think that you are going to buy the things as per your own interest? No, this is not your choice. Your food, your dress, your clothes, everything has been determined by the media, by the social media, by the electronic media, because there is a continuous presentation of those things in the social media, and you have a close interaction with those media. And that's why even in a news, even in a serial, in the midst of that, you will find a lot of advertisement from the different multinational corporations regarding clothes, regarding cosmetic products, regarding many things. And when you are entering into a shop, into a shopping mall, you are buying according to the interest of those corporates, because they are placing the things in front of you in such a way that through social media they are playing with your mind, and you are running after those things unintentionally. They are creating some needs in your mind, false needs in your mind, and you are running after that. And why they are doing these things? Because they have to sell their products in the market, and there is no interaction of those corporates, direct interaction of those corporates with you, with the consumers. But through social media, they are playing with your mind, they are playing with your psychology, and you are under their grip, and you are entering into the shopping mall and you are buying everything according, it looks you are buying according to your choice, but no, That is not according to your choice. That choice has been determined by some corporates, and that's why that is the advertisement I'm talking about. If you are wearing a Raymond, you are a complete man. Means, and if you are wearing this particular watch, you will have this. If you are going to buy this particular car, you will have this kind of lifestyle. That things have been continuously and constantly given to you. They're playing with your mind, and you are running after those things. So definitely there is a relationship, and because the corporates want to control the government at many times, so they will buy the media houses, they will produce disseminate informations accordingly, and they will do everything to cater the interests of those corporates only. Thank you.
One more question is asking by Ranjan Gogoi.
Yeah.
Sir, do you think that our social media in Assam basically controlled by government and control the ownership?
Now you see, just I will tell you, when Nitumoni Soikia, he was in News Live, and now he is in Protein Time. Similarly, you will find some other people, I don't know where, he was in News Live, now he was in DY 365. And again, you will find the same information that the News Live will present in front of you in a different way. The DY 365, their version will be different. The Protein Time, their version will be different. So definitely these media organizations or big media organizations or institutions have been controlled by some powerful sections of the society, the elites of the society. They may have their affiliation to political parties, they may have their affiliation to government. So I cannot clearly say that this particular organization, media organization or institution have their affiliation with this particular, with the present government or with this political party or that political party. I cannot say because I have no evidences. But the way they're disseminating their informations, then you will find it's the same information that DY365 will deliver the things, keeping in view the ideology of a particular political party or ideology of a particular political leader who is very powerful. The same information will be delivered in DY365 or in Protein Time in a different way. Why the differences are there? Definitely, something is there. Some power plays are there behind those media organizations and institutions, and accordingly they are doing this. So concrete answer is difficult because I have no evidences, but since I have my exposure to their informations, and that's why I know that what is that's why I am confirmed that yes, power game is there. Some of the media organizations have the close affiliation with the existing government, with some influential political leaders, and some are standing against them. And accordingly, they are disseminating information, and people are not in a position to decide. The common people, without critical thinking, not in a position to decide what is right, what is wrong. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's no more questions. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vikas Dekas, once again for giving us giving the answer all the participants very nicely. So now I request Ms. Priti Parna Barua for carry forward the other session of the seminar.
Thank you, Dr. Putulvara sir, for the interactive session. And thank you, Dr. Vikas Dekas sir, for elaborating the answers precisely. It's been a great honor to have you as our resource person, and we appreciate the time and effort you have spent to share with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, as we have arrived towards the end of the session, now I would like to request Surinder Kaur Virdi ma'am to offer vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am. Surinder ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Preeti. Honorable Vice Principal Sir, Dr. Deepak Goswami Sir, respected resource person Dr. Vikas Dekas Sir, respected teachers and all the participants. It's my privilege to have asked to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on the behalf of Sociology Department, Digboi Mahila Mahavidyalaya, extend a hearty vote of thanks to our respected resource person, Dr. Vikas Rekha sir, for gracing your important work and sharing with us your findings and opinions today. I would like to take this opportunity to place our hearty thanks to our Vice Principal Sir, Dr. Deepak Goswami sir, for the perfect logistics support and guidance he has extended to all of us. I also extend my thanks to Dr. Niva Bora ma'am and Dr. Putul Bora sir for their enormous cooperation in the organization of this webinar. I may also like to express my sincere thanks to Ms. Pritiparna Barua for hosting this whole session. I may like to express our sincere thanks to Dhubajoti Bora for handling the technical part of this webinar. Last but not the least, I am also very grateful to all the participants for their presence in this webinar. Thank you for taking out time and being here today. Thank you very much. Over to you, Pritiparna ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for offering vote of thanks. Thank you, everyone, for your active participation. It's been a great pleasure to be with you all today. Thank you. So before ending the session, I would like to announce that your feedback link will be provided within 15 minutes in your WhatsApp group just after the end of the session, and it will be valid only for 50 minutes. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.